We are live with another Up Coach webinar. Let's give it a second for people to come in. Good to have you, Dov. We used to chat on a regular basis, but we have not in a while. So I'm actually really excited to have you on and to nerd out with you on how to build communities, because you've been doing this very successfully.
Thank you.
And now we have people in. Beautiful. All right, everybody. Feel free to use we're streaming via Restream on many different channels. You can leave comments on the video. We'll see them and then we can get back to you. So feel free to interact with us and ask us questions. Today I have my friend Dov Gordon on the live stream. Dov is running profitablelationships.com. And
right.
I joined his JVMM, Joint Venture Mastermind group for a lot of coaches that do JVs together. And it's a very thriving and awesome community. And so we have Dov on the show today to tell us how to build a great community. But Dov, maybe you fill in the blanks on what you're doing.
I'll share a bit. First of all, thanks for having me, David, and we'll see where you want to take it. Now I started the JVMM, I don't know, 13, 14 years ago, because I was looking to reach small business owners, consultants, coaches, agency owners, entrepreneurs, and so on, using online direct marketing, joint venture webinars, and I joined several different online communities, I lived different forums, looking for community people who were similar. They're selling to similar audience, understood direct marketing, were looking to promote and be promoted. And I didn't find what I was looking for, so I just started my own little group. I had no big plans, no idea what it was going to become. It was just looking to see how can I start, how can I reach these people that I was looking to reach, with the right partners. Started with about a handful of people I'd met online in various places over the previous couple of years. And over the following 9 years, we grew to almost 200 members. And I ran it for free for the first 8 years or so. And then at that point, I realized I need to know who really wants to be here. And we made that shift, which was quite scary for me at the time. And I started to charge a modest annual fee. And, I was afraid of losing everybody. I thought we'd go maybe from close to 200 members down to 10 or 20. But fortunately, we ended up with about 45, I think it was. And then slowly but surely, we've continued to grow to where we're back to about 190. And my aim is a maximum of 250. I don't know if we'll get there, but that's my maximum. And along the way, it became my main business thing. I never intended for it to be a source of revenue. I never intended for it to be my main business. But, I went from where my own little coaching business was my main thing to where I now will work with people one-on-one, in consulting or coaching when they bubble up on my email list and it's a perfect fit. But I'm not actively organizing groups and coaching programs anymore. My main focus is JVMM. It's and serving the members. And almost every new member is sent by an existing member, and I've just found that.
So have I been,
I enjoy it.
Recommended by somebody.
Yeah,
that's how it works. If you build something valuable, then people just bring other people in.
Yeah, and I keep hearing from members about how it is a very giving, generous community, and people appreciate the who's in it. It's not about big names, but we have some who qualify, but we don't brag about it. It's really just about people who all market and sell to a similar audience and are happy to promote each other to our audiences, because we know that ultimately it's a win-win-win. The audience wins because they're, if someone's on my email list, there's a good chance that they're there for a reason. Most of them will never buy from me, but they are looking for someone. They might be looking for you or for someone else. So if we introduce them to people that we know are quality people, they might find that, David has what I need, not Dov, right? Or both David and Dov, or neither, but some third or fourth person. So it's everybody wins when we do that. I learned the concept years ago from Jay Abraham. He calls it triangulation. So that's that. I mean, I'm just rambling. Feel free to jump in, ask me questions. Where do you want to?
I mean,
Which way? What would be most
let,
helpful?
let's break it down for people how they can build their own community that will give them clients and provides value. Because at the end of the day, money is a side effect of providing value, and the community is a great way of providing value to the people that are in the community, and then it will pay back to you
Yeah.
in various ways. And
Sure.
I'd love to break down how you started, get people in, and then basically run it to make it successful. And maybe we
Right.
talked about this before we started. You want to. There's this book by Seth Godin called The Dip, and whenever you set out to do something new, you have to be aware of the dip that may come or will come at some point, and have to be willing to go through that dip. So it's work, and so maybe you give like the
So
disclaimer
I'll
before you
just.
start building a community.
I think
We
that
want to discourage
there are
you.
all. Yeah, there are all sorts of ways to grow a business. What I realized while working with some clients about 3-4 years ago is that you can build what I call an alchemy network. An alchemy network is you're creating value from nothing, really. You're just bringing people together. You can turn that into a business for yourself, like I have. And if you're, really, it's almost like you can start getting paid for doing a lot of the relationship building. There's a good chance you're doing anyway. For example, if you're a corporate consultant, you're looking to reach corporations. If you were to form an alchemy network, either of colleagues or of ideal clients, a lot of the relationship building that you're doing anyway, or would need to be doing anyway, the staying in touch, the meetings, the networking, and so on, you can be getting paid for it if people are paying you a modest annual fee to be a part of your network. If you have a meeting with an ideal client, CEO of $100 million a year business, perfect client for you as a consultant, and he turns to you and he says, David, I really, this is a very valuable conversation, but there's no way we can take on this project right now. I think 6 months will be ready. Get back to me in 6 months. Right. So, I mean, we all know what happens. So, okay, can I add you to my email list or I'll stay in touch. Sure. Please do. Yeah. So you add them to your email list, and it's one way, like you're sending information or content. You never know if they're hearing it. You never know, um, if it's being received, but you certainly don't know what's going on the other side. You don't hear about the internal conversations, the priorities, the issues that they're having. Unless you're going to have an actual one-on-one conversation. You could send a book, you could send hey, I saw this article, but still it's kind of forced. And then, let's say they said 6 months and you reach out to them after 5 months because you like to take initiative, and then you call him up and he says, oh, I'm so sorry. I wish you got back to me last month because we just started with this other consultant who they just came across, right? They just, so, and we've all experienced that. If you've been in doing this for any amount of time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So what if instead of that type of approach of staying in touch, you say, look, hey, David, I fully understand that, this is not something you can handle for the next 6 months. Having said that, why don't you join my Alchemy Network? It's comprised of
Or
people like
Mastermind
you who
or
are all,
whatever you want.
or Mastermind, whatever you want to call it, like, community. It's comprised of people, described similar to you, who are dealing with similar issues, similar aspirations, and you participate as much or as little as you want. And it's $1,000 or $1,500 for a year, and and that way, if you have any questions, even from now, between now and when we would get started, you know how to find me. You have other people that you can talk to, because the issue is here, and it is important to you. Why don't you do that? And there's a good chance that many people will say, yeah, sure. And now what happens is
maybe,
that now you've just,
or as I said in the beginning, it doesn't even have to be paid in the beginning until you have like some critical momentum of like enough people in
right.
there. And also once you have some heavy hitters in there, this has been working for me really well, organizing dinners around events, or like general, when I'm in a certain city, I find like one heavy hitter, and then I do like an influencer dinner, and I say like, hey, you want to come to dinner, even if I don't really know the person. Like XYZ is coming as well. It's about blah
Right.
topic, and then once you have some heavy hitters in there, it's like very easy to draw in other people.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll just throw in, like you talked about you're what you're describing is a similar concept, but different. You're talking about having host people together who have similar interests is a very valuable thing, and it's a way of beginning new relationships and cultivating existing relationships and moving things to the next step. So that's that. You also used the term mastermind before, and the only reason I don't use that is because it means so many different things to so many different
Mm,
people. So it's just hard to know. Mastermind could be like a CEO peer group where people are meeting. It's like 6, maybe 10 people
sure.
get together for half a day or a day every month, and it could mean big coaching programs, also called masterminds.
It's true.
I call the JVMM. It's a community. It's a network. People, we have our ways of participating. Of very clear who it's for, and what we do. But anyway, that's my thinking. There's different ways of going about this. There's similarities and differences. There are networking groups which are about passing referrals, like BNI, and perhaps similar groups. Um, that's so the point. There are three overriding concepts for whatever kind of community you'd want to formulate. Three kind of underlying principles. The first principle I'd say is be valuable to those who can be valuable to you. So you want to be valuable to those who can be valuable to you. And a big way of doing that is by bringing people together. People are starved for community. We're starved for quality conversations these days. People are not like, we're looking
Too
for
much
like,
noise.
where do I, too much noise, and not enough like meaning, too much like toxicity, too much just arguing and
Mm,
debating and fighting, and for everyone, provincial interests instead of genuinely listening to each other, understand, and how could we grow together. So there is a not enough quality conversation, and if you bring people together who are the kinds of people who really who are looking for each other, so you're providing a very valuable service there. So you're being valuable to those who can be valuable to you. That's the first principle of any kind of community that you want to create. Second principle is be continuously seen. Once you have people have come together, then you want to, obviously, there's that concept of being top of mind. You want to be continuously seen by them. And as the one who is leading and facilitating and organizing the various interactions and, in-person events and the live events, I mean, it doesn't have to be in person. We don't actually do anything in person. Everything we do is online. But it's, what I mean is simultaneous, real time, people getting on a call together. And you're the one who's organizing it. Whether they make that call or don't, they see that you're behind the scenes, continuously leading. So you're continuously seen. And then the third one is make it easy for them to take the next step. You've got to give the members in your group an opportunity to take that next step with you, whatever it is. So if you're a consultant or a coach and you're looking for, and you want to form a network or community of CEOs of certain types of businesses, then you want to, again, be valuable to them. They're the ones who can be valuable to you, be valuable to them, be continuously seen, and then make it easy for them to take a next step, whatever that might be. It could be by, offering some kind of, individually offering us a customized workshop or half a day, or something what you the advantage you have now is that people are first of all, they get to see you in action. Also, first of all, if they are paying a modest fee, which is often a good idea, right? It's often a good place to start. Um, and sometimes what's needed is not necessarily that you have a big name, out there, but let's say, we have a member of our Simplicity 7 group, which is a smaller part, 7-figure business owners within JVMM. It's a smaller little community. He's starting a network similar to what we're talking about. He's served an industry for many years, and he has enough people that will pay him I think he's charging $1,500 or $2,000 a year for starters. So he can form that core group with people who trust him enough to put that down, right? It's not, and for him though, he's just sees this as becoming a low six-figure source of revenue. But more importantly, it's a way of continuing to deepen his relationships with people who, he could be valuable to, and they could be very valuable to him with much higher, bigger projects and fees. So, yeah, I think I was going somewhere, but don't remember where I was. Let's see.
No worries. We have a few questions, so I'd like to jump in real quick. So here we have one. Best way to bring in people to start a mastermind or Alchemy Network? Email list, social media, others? What they?
Well, let's see. Who was that? That was Groundwater Guy.
Yes, Groundwater Guy.
Hey, Groundwater Guy. Well, I think
and
it
then he
really
asked,
depends.
to pair it together. How long should a paid mastermind last? 1 year minimum. Thoughts? Yeah, you can
Yeah,
on screen.
it's a good. I for me, membership is not monthly; it is annual. Members. We're building a community, and you don't build. If people want to be part of a community, they can't be just coming and going. It's not like. Also, I don't allow. I every now and then I get a request from, can I sit in on a meeting to give it a try? And my answer is no. It's not the right answer for everybody, but it makes sense for me. I don't think that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not charging $25,000 for this. I'm not charging $55,000 or $155,000. This is, it's a $1,500 a year investment. And my feeling is that the right people will have talked to me. They'll being referred by existing members. Sometimes I've been talking to people that say like, I had to book a call because I heard about you from another person. It's like the third person who told me about you. So, and if they need to then try it, then they probably shouldn't do it. By the end of our conversation, if it's not a yes, then don't join. Like, I never try to convince anyone to join. I never try to convince anyone to stay. My feeling is that's part of the reason why it works. It's because everybody who's there wants to be there. Let's see. And the other question. The other question was, what was his first question? The question was the best way to bring people in.
Yes, best way to bring. Yes, correct.
Right. Well, there's no. This is what we kind of alluded to, and I'll just say it straight out. This is not the right strategy for most people. Okay. I mean, you could dip your toes into water. Let's say, you want to run Facebook ads, or you want to start a podcast, which a lot of people do. David, you've got a good one. It's, podcasting also, of course, it builds up over time. Facebook ads, you can test and try, and if after 3 months, 6 months, it's not working for you, or you don't like the results or whatever, you walk away. But if you're going to start a community, it's something that you need to be committed to for the long run, especially if you're going to be charging annual, right? So it's got to be something that you need to really care about people. You need to really believe that this is the right thing for you, and you need to be committed to it in the long run. The other thing is, it's not, and like I've helped some people start networks. For a while I was promoting this, as offering this as a service to work with people, and I'll still do it individually if someone shows up and it's a really good fit. But I stopped promoting it as a thing because I realized that it's just not right for a lot of people. You have to have things in place beforehand. People aren't going to sign up for this cold for the most part. Okay. On the one hand, you might be in a situation where let's say I had a client who was doing this, and what he was doing was his ideal client, he was doing multi-six-figure projects for $500 million, billion-dollar companies. And his ideal client is the CEO of a $500 million, billion-dollar company in certain industries, certain kinds of manufacturing. That's a really hard type of person to form a network for, right? I mean, there's a lot of issues, a lot of top priorities that they're dealing with, and there's a lot of people out there vying for their attention and their time. Now, if you have something and you've got the clout and then go for it, absolutely. But there are three types of audiences that you could have your network for. Number one would be your ideal clients. Number two would be colleagues. Let's put it, colleagues who are serving similar audiences and can help you get in front of other people. That's what I have with JVMM. So that you can have a community, a network comprised of colleagues. Number two would be ideal clients. And number three would be recommenders. So either if you can fill a community with ideal clients, like the person I mentioned before, who is he's been in the industry for 10 years or longer, and he's got people who are willing to put down 1,000, 1,500, whatever it is a year, because they know that he'll do a good job. They've already worked with him, so that's going to help him get off to a good start. Third one is recommenders, people who, in this client's case, it was directors of product development. I forgot what it was. R&D directors, maybe. I think it was R&D directors who at these large companies. So there may be 2 or 3 levels, probably 2 levels down from the CEO, but they are playing an important role in an area that my client would help with. My client was helping with new product innovation and the fact that it always took too long and cost way too much, right? So he was coming in. So he would often end up working with the directors of innovation, but they're not often able to say yes on their own to
Make this
so
commitment, yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh, the
To
commitment,
make this
yeah,
commitment.
exactly right. So what we did was we figured out that it probably makes sense for him to form a network targeting the directors of R&D, and then run a community that's valuable for them. Help them have a success within the areas of which they could control. And then when they realize that, okay, I've done what I can now to make a bigger impact, I need cooperation from others at my level. And therefore I need someone a level or two above the CEO to come in and say, we're going to do this. So once he's helped them have a win through this network or a small coaching project that was within their budget, then they're in a position to come and say, hey, I've been working with him, or he helped me accomplish this and that. The next level involves you. I really think you should talk, right? You should meet him. So it sounds like a lot of work, and it is, but what business isn't really, if we're honest. But it's also it's very focused, and for the right person, if you're trying to do a lot of networking into these types of businesses anyway, it's relatively easy compared to other options. So what he was able to do, again, I'm addressing the question of how do you fill the group. He had a lot of success reaching out to people on LinkedIn, sending them messages. He was actually using one of those software bots that I
Like meet
don't like.
Alfred, etc. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many of them. I don't know. I haven't even looked into them in a couple of years. It's just, but I receive their messages every day. So, but he was getting good results from it, surprisingly or amazingly. We did craft some messaging together, and messaging is everything. It really is. I mean, just getting that right message is everything. So he'd send a message to people who were pre-qualified just based on the criteria. He would skim over the list to make sure that they fit, and then they'd send a connection request and then say, hey, look, this is what I run this kind of community for these types of people, which you seem to be one. If this or that seems relevant, just click book a time to talk. Click a link, a calendar link. And he was getting, I remember there was a day he had a handful of people at these major companies book, executives at like $500 million businesses plus booked themselves on his calendar in a day, and that's pretty good. And what happened, what the advantage of having a network there was that his approach was different from everybody else. It gave him an opportunity of saying, hey, I've got this network, this community. If that talks to you, if that's of interest, let's get on a call and see if it's a fit. So the answer is, it really depends on the kind of network you're building, who it's for, where you're coming from. But this also, I'll just emphasize it one more time. If you don't have anything, it's not the easiest place to start. Okay. It's, the more, obviously everyone's going to make their choice, but it's not like, it's not going to help you skip the steps of, you've got to have good offers. You've got to have good messaging. You've got to know what you're doing, what you're selling, and to who.
Who you're selling it to, yeah. And also, a friend of mine just posted this on Twitter. I found this really interesting. Patrick Campbell from Profitwell, or he sold Profitwell. But he sets the rule of 100. Whenever you commit to doing something like starting a podcast or doing something like this, commit to doing it for 100 times, like 100 episodes. If you're not willing to do this, then probably like this this is not for you. Dov, we
Yeah.
have a lot of questions in the chat.
Okay.
Can you see them, or do I have to click them to that you see them?
I can see them. Yeah, I can see them.
Okay, if you
But
could kind
but
of
it was nice to see when you click them. Oh, maybe I can click them. I don't know. Let's see. All right. So we've got those questions, I think. What are good prices to start? Does it make sense, as you described at the beginning, to start for free and switch after critical mass? So again, that really kind of depends. And there are different ways to go about it. Obviously, if people pay something that's good for you and it's also good for them. I ran it for free for the first 8 years because I never intended for it to be a source of revenue. If I had sat down at the beginning and dreamed up and what's the perfect way to do this, I never would have ended up with the success that I had, because I would have gotten everything wrong. I just I wouldn't have thought to do what I did. I just did it because it made sense at the time, and I just kept saying, like, how
provide
can I
value.
serve the
Yeah,
people in the community? Yeah. So I think that it goes back to really, like, how much how much how much trust, or how easy is it for you to sell that at first for pay. And then there's always things you could do kind of interim. You could say, look, this is what I'm doing. This is what the annual fee is going to be. But for the first 10, 15, 20 members, whatever it's going to be, first 6 months,
it's
maybe
free.
make $100
Like
deposit,
cheap. Yeah,
right? And then then the annual fee kicks in 6 months later, right? That way I know you're in, and so on, right? So it gives people who are helping you get things started, it gives them a benefit, and they understand that you're serious. What you're saying will make sense to them, but you're also not necessarily asking them to pay for something when the something doesn't exist yet, right? So if you're the kind of person who feels like, yeah, I can make this work, I can pull this off, then sure, go for it, charge right away. Or wait, or say, look, the first 6 months we're going to get this up and running. um, the downside of that is that, and look, the downside is that people may not take it as seriously if they haven't paid for it. That's definitely true in some cases. It wasn't really true for me for those first 8 years. We did have a lot of valuable participation. People were active. Um, it could be related to the way I was running it. It could be, right. I mean, I was screening members then, just like I do now. I mean, you've got
I slipped through the
curation is
cracks.
key. You slipped through the cracks. Yeah, that's right. So, but curation is key. Letting in the wrong people is not
Yeah,
is
for sure.
not good for the community. So, and sure, I've let in some of the wrong people, made some mistakes. I've had to throw one person out over the last few years. Before that, it was easier. They weren't paying anything. I just quietly dropped somebody. But if someone paid, I could still quietly drop them. But it's just you have to be understandable there. I personally have everybody agree to 3 terms and conditions before they join. Number one is that, let's see if I can. I think I remember, but I think I remember without looking, but always better to have it in front of you. The first is that all payments are final. There's no refunds. Number two is that I reserve the right to remove any member for any reason that I deem detrimental to the group at any time. And number three is that they agree to automatic annual renewal unless they get notice at least a week in advance. And again, once processed, there's no refunds. And I run a small business. I'm not looking to run a multi-million-dollar business. I'm not looking to grow a big team. And I'm not looking to have to deal with giving money back once it comes in. It's like, and again, my point is that anybody who's not comfortable with that shouldn't join. Very simple. So, and I think that it's important to know what just have that clear and upfront. Let's see what else you put out. Tips and ideas.
Next question, you tips. Yes, you can read here.
All right. Tips and ideas of how to keep the critical mass of the community engaged so that others may join and see the value. So that is a challenge. I take the approach, and obviously there's more than one approach to how to keep people engaged. I'll just share some of my high level, ways of thinking about it, and hopefully you find it valuable, and feel free to ask follow-up questions. My approach is I take a very light touch, right? I lead things, I enable things, but I don't try to control very much at all. The only thing I control is who gets in and who stays in. But and then I lead. We have a certain, things that we do every month, and I can go into that. I lead that. I don't, I don't take attendance. I don't pressure people to show up for things. I believe that the most valuable participation is when people participate because they want to. I don't want my members to feel like, oh, I joined this and now I have a whole other set of obligations and responsibilities. Everybody's got enough. Like everyone has enough demands on their time. There's a quick story that might help you understand how I think about it. Going back many years, like I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, we had a member who had been very quiet, not participated for probably a year, maybe more. And then one day she sent an email to everybody because we participate. We don't have a Facebook group. Thank God we started before Facebook groups, or we might have made that mistake. But I don't like Facebook groups. I don't like Facebook. But so we use. I don't like Google either necessarily. But it's you got to make your choices, right? So we have it's an email. It's like a listserv, and you send an email, everybody gets it. You reply, everybody gets the reply. For better or for worse. So she sent an email to everybody promoting another member who'd been very quiet, probably for a year or so, a paid weekend workshop, $500. Now, we're not actively promoting and pitching to each other. That's not how it works. There's a feeling of everyone here as colleagues, we're equals, we're looking out for each other, but we're also not afraid to sell something in the sense of like, hey, look, if I'm doing something that you're interested in and that can be really valuable, I'll tell you about it. Maybe I'll give you a discount. We have people giving courses, like their courses for free to other members, things like that. But if someone's got like 10 spaces for a certain weekend workshop, you're gonna have to pay something, right? So, so we're not against that. But I did get but the fact is that the old Stephen Covey emotional bank account, right? So if you're just taking withdrawals and you're not making deposits, there's not gonna be anything there. So I got a couple of emails saying like, what was that? Where'd that come from? Like, why? So I emailed her and I said, hey, just want you to know I got a little bit of hey, what was that? What was that all about? And I think it's because you really haven't done much, you haven't participated much in a long time. So they might not even know who you are. And she said, oh, you're right. Yeah, I've been meaning to be more active and I'm going to be more active going forward. I said, wait, that's not my point. My point is I want you to be as active as you want to be for your own selfish benefit, right? Because when you participate to the degree, when you ask a question because you want to ask a question, because you have a question and you send it out to the group, that's valuable for everybody. When you ask a question because you think you need to participate, that's noise for everybody. We don't need noise, right? Same thing for answering questions. A lot of people are very happy to read the question, read the conversation, see what's going on, and if they have something, so they're happy to chime in. Very good, excellent. But I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I have to, I have more obligations. No. So I said, like, look, participate as much or as little as you want to, but just realize, like, if you haven't really been participating, don't pitch something because you don't have any deposits in the bank. She's like, yeah, okay. And she never joined us when we switched to paid. She was one who did not continue, and it's totally fine. It wasn't really the same style. Let's see. So that's kind of what was the question we were answering? Engagement, right? How do we keep people engaged? So yeah,
and maybe we can combine a few questions. Kind of like I guess people ask like, what is the frequency of the meetings? How long these stipulated commitments, etc. And then also Alchemy is like, why is it called Alchemy? And then also, what is the format of an Alchemy network? Maybe you kind of like combine those.
All right.
Together.
So we got this why call it Alchemy with rolling eyes. So I'll tell you, it's nothing to do with, I mean, the way I think about it is this.
It's a good book, though.
Well, it is a very good book. It's probably inspired me to think about it this way because I previously had thought of like the alchemists of old were these grungy, greedy old men hunched over a frying pan trying to get lead to turn into gold and trying to have something from nothing. But actually, after reading The Alchemist, I realized that that's not what it is. I mean, I'm not taking a position on like the science of it or the spirituality of it. I'm not taking that approach at all. I'm taking the approach of that. What were they trying to do? I don't know their methods. I don't pretend to understand them. But what were they trying to do? They're trying to get to the underlying structure of lead and turn it into something more valuable, into gold. And as far as I know, we still can't do that today scientifically. We can't turn lead into gold, despite having neutron microscopes or whatever they are. But as business owners, as entrepreneurs, what we can do is when we can get to the underlying structure of our situation, we can turn it into something more valuable. And that's how I use the term of Alchemy Network. If you think about it, you can have relationships with 50, 100 different people. It's when you bring them together that's what creates a whole new value that you didn't have before. So it's coming into a situation and getting to the underlying structure of that situation so that you can leverage it and create more value for yourself and for everybody else. So that's the concept of alchemy. Whoever asked that with the rolling eyes, Denny, yeah, I don't know what you were assuming. It's okay. I'm only picking on you because of the eye roll, which is fine. But I'm pretty sure my answer is not what you expected. So that's
And then,
that. What else do we have? Oh, how often do we meet?
oh, yes, what's the frequency? Kind of like how does it work? We have
Right.
like the networking
So what we
groups, and
have,
if the European
we
one,
get,
and maybe you kind of break it
yeah.
down how yours
So
work.
we have members all around the world. From really, I don't know if we have anybody in New Zealand
Turkey.
right now, but we have members in Turkey, Europe, rest of Europe. We've got a chunk in the UK. I think most of our members are probably in North America, and then the other half are spread around the world. A few in Asia, and a couple in Dubai, Australia, and South Africa, and wherever. So we have two types of meetings primarily. Number one is what I call a brain trust call, and we have one member every month that I've talked to, and I've seen what I believe that they have something valuable that everybody would benefit from. We don't have outside speakers. We have enough expertise in the community. What I'm always looking for is to help people get to know each other better. And this is just a one way of helping people benefit from get to know each other better by learning from each other. So that's that. The second thing we have is we have a couple of rapid networking calls. Rapid networking is we have one that's at a time for America and Europe, and that's a 90-minute call. We break it down into three 18-minute sessions, so we breakout rooms. We have 3-4 people in a room, and people go around and share something. It's really like you talk for a minute, answering a question that lets us know a little more about you. In 3 minutes, people ask some follow-up questions. The idea is you're not going to get to know everybody in depth then, but what you will do is you will be able to meet more members more quickly, or re-meet people you haven't talked to in a while, and get a sense of someone's energy and get a sense as to, okay, who do I want to follow up with one-on-one.
Which I
And
actually really appreciate. Like, this is like one of the favorite things that because like if somebody gives a presentation, I could also watch a recording of this. This is not why I'm and I like to watch things on like 2x the speed. So
yeah, me too,
but
at least.
uh, but yeah, bringing people together in these small networking groups, and like I think it's really cool to just meet new people and then see where this takes us. I think that's super valuable. Another super valuable thing you do is, because you screen everybody and you know what everybody does, and you check in with people, you make lots of introductions and connections. Like, hey, David, you should talk to this guy, etc. Right now, so it's
Yeah.
always what you're doing there.
I appreciate that. That's good to hear. So, and I'll just say, we've a few months back, I'm always like, the best ideas for improvement don't come from me. They come from members. And I'm pretty good at listening. So unfortunately our Australian, Asia and Australian members really couldn't participate in any kind of normal way on those calls. So, but even having those calls was an idea from a member. Like, we didn't always do it that way. So I'm always listening. I see my role as curation, conversation, education. My role is to curate. My role is to make sure the right people get in the room and the wrong people don't. Conversation is to help, once those people are here, to help them get to know each other, because you can have great people, but if they don't get to talk and get to know each other, they're not going to have all those great things to do together. It's not going to realize what's possible. And the last one is education, learn from each other. When I first started this back, I don't know, 13, 14 years ago, whenever it was, that first time we had a meeting, it was teleconference then, this is before Zoom. The first conversation was, hey, what are you up to? What are you promoting, and who can help me promote it? I immediately realized how bad that was. That was going to be a recipe for disaster. I realized that it's got to be about relationships. It's got to be about getting to know each other. And if people get to know each other and they get to like each other and they trust each other, then they'll be happy to promote each other. And that's how it's been. Nobody is lacking what to promote. Again, we're all colleagues selling similar things, even competing things, of course, different things too, to a similar audience of small business owners, coaches, consultants, agency owners, entrepreneurs, and so on. So like that's our dynamic. That's the model that I've chosen. And one of our members in Australia said, "Hey, why don't I lead a rapid networking call once a month, because I feel like I'm missing out on that." And I said, "Sure, fine." And it's just because it's 2 a.m. for me and I'm fast asleep, I don't want to be the bottleneck. It's not about me. And we've got some amazingly talented and capable members, and sure, go for it. And that's added. That's when that started about 4 or 5 months ago. So yeah, let's see. What platform do you use for your community? I use Heartbeat, but members are overloaded and see this as just one more thing to keep track of. I don't know what Heartbeat is. And the interesting thing is, I use Google stuff. It's all Google. We use Google Groups for email communication, as I described earlier. We use a Google Sheet for the member directory. Again, keep in mind, like, if I was starting out to do this, I never would have thought that it could be so simple. I would have thought I need like this fancy membership site. And I, about a year ago, we were looking into maybe we should move into more of a membership platform, but everything we
like
saw
Upcoach, for example.
was very maybe like Upcoach, for example. Yeah. All right, there we go. Upcoach, for example. But everything has pros and cons, and I realized that people just like the simplicity of the what do you call it? The Google Sheet as a way of getting the information. Anyway, all right. I don't want Upcoach is fantastic.
No,
Right?
totally fine. Like, I have like no problems with this, and also
Yeah.
I like the simplicity of it.
We've just been doing this. We've been doing this for so many years. It's just like anytime you make a trade off, you don't know what your cost is going to be. You don't know what you're going to lose by switching. And I don't know. I'm afraid to switch. So if you're just getting started, though, it could be perfect. What were you saying? I was just answering. And then we use Zoom. So we use Zoom and Google Docs, Google Sheets and so on. Do I filter based on revenue or size within your demographic? It's interesting. And I don't think that there's one answer for every community. Again, I'm talking about what I do in JVMM, which I'll just throw out, is that you can learn about at profitablерelationships.com. If you market and sell to coaches, consultants, agency owners, business owners, small business owners, entrepreneurs online using online direct marketing, and you're open to joint ventures or do them, you've built an email list and so on, JVM is probably ideal for you. So if that talks to you, go to profitablерelationships.com and put down, watch those videos. And then if you want to book a call, just put David Hensel sent you. So let's see, what was I even asking? What was the question?
Filter. Do you filter based on revenue? And I guess you filter based on revenue,
right?
For the larger.
Yeah. So the way I say it is, JVM is not for the beginner. There are a lot of JV communities that are catering to beginners. We're not for beginners. We're for intermediate and advanced. Our members are doing from low 6 figures to upper 7. We even have a few 8-figure business owners in JVMM. How does it work like that? Again, I never set out to do this from the beginning. It's just that's how it evolved, and people found it valuable. Somebody, doing 300,000, 350 a year could still be valuable promoting somebody doing 3.5 million a year. And sometimes they can even be clients, one of the other, right? So they're really and they can all learn from each other. Someone running a $3.5 million business can have a question that could be perfectly answered by somebody running a smaller business. Not everybody wants to run a big, a 7-figure business. I'm not interested in growing to 7 figures. It just doesn't interest me. I really want, mid 6 figures and flexible time schedule. That's what I like. So everyone has their priorities. So do we screen for that? To a degree, yes, but only in the sense that the way to think about it is, and like, what's the big idea of this network? And these are the 2 first questions that you have to ask. The 2 foundational questions when you're thinking about starting a network, a community like this. Who is it for, and what's the big idea that's going to bring them all together? So in JVMM, the big idea, who it's for, like I said, people who market and sell to small business owners, entrepreneurs, business owner coaches, and so on, using online direct marketing, right? And are looking for joint venture partners, quality joint venture partners. That's who it's for. And the big idea is that we bring these people together. They're experienced in direct marketing, they understand it, and we make it easy for you to find each other, build relationships, get to know each other, and promote each other and grow together, grow your list through joint ventures. So it's a very clear target member market and very clear big idea that resonates with those members, especially those who've been parts of very expensive communities, which could be very good, or very expensive communities that weren't so good. Everyone has both experiences. Or they've been part of other networks that are really catering to beginners, or they're part of JV networks that are so broad that there are people from all different types of customer bases, and they know that like everybody here or almost everybody is selling to the same types of people as me. So there's a lot of value in that. So depending on who your target market is, like who your ideal member is, and what's the big idea that brings them together, that's how you decide how I'm going to curate who has to be there. So, am I going to decide based on revenue and so on? That could very well make sense for you, and I don't know without hearing the details of what you want to do. So that really depends. I will also say that within the JVM, I mentioned earlier that we have a smaller little mastermind community that's just a few $1,000s more a year for 7-figure business owners. It's called Simplicity 7. And it's really like we meet once a month for a couple of hours. It's a small group of people. And, there aren't that many opportunities. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities for 7-figure business owners to mastermind and so on. But some people don't want to be traveling all the time. And some people don't want to, they feel like I don't need to spend another $50,000 on another group right now. I just need a place where I can go once a month and just kind of hash some things through. Or they're part of 25K group and this group and that group, and they still feel like, hey, these are 7. I have one of the members in our Simplicity 7 group. The way she says, like, look, I was part of another 7-figure mastermind that had like 100 and something people, but in conversations with people, I realized that they weren't all doing 7 figures. But over here, it's a small group. I know everybody's doing 7 figures, and I don't want a big group. I want a small group anyway. So, and
Yes.
we charge less than $5,000 for that, including JVM. And I could, for me, that works because it's just an opportunity for me to go deeper with some of the same people.
And I think that's like also when you invite people, having like some, as you said, like finding the ICP, the ideal customer profile, or the ideal community member. I have a group for people with over 100 employees, and people want to be together with these people because like you can talk about problems that you only have when you're at this stage in the business, because like it's very different from having 20 people in the business. So you face the same problems, and maybe somebody has solved these problems before, and then it becomes very interesting. So I think like very key thing is to define your ideal person, so it's attractive to be together with others, as in your case, similar client audience.
Right.
So it makes sense to do JVs together.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have any other questions? Oh, the URL again for my network is at profitablерelationships.com. That's
I also
mine.
posted the URL.
Right.
Yes. I can
Okay.
show the URL here so people can. So yeah, just to show the URL.
Thank you, Kim.
And then
That's right.
Here.
I have my idea for a mastermind, but I keep backing out. So I started out as a hobby and have hosted masterminds in the past as a Christian content creator. How do I get people to start paying?
Asking for
it. Okay, that's one thing. Like, but what's the big idea? You have to know what's the big idea. Like, what's the reason that people like? What problem is it helping them solve? What result is it enabling? So I described the big idea for my group. Right? I described the big idea for the client who was bringing together what do you call it? The R&D directors of certain types of companies. So they he was filling a hole. They didn't really have a place to go to brainstorm with colleagues in non-competing companies in other states, right? So you have to have some kind of concept, some kind of problem you're
value
helping them
proposition.
solve, some kind of result that you're in, and that they can get from joining the network. Once you have that, it becomes a lot easier to start charging. So just a Christian content creator, I'm not sure what that means. What is, I guess, what do they gain from this? What are you helping them achieve that they'll have a harder time achieving without being part of your community? And that
I mean,
will
if
point
it's
you in the right direction.
Christian content creators, maybe you can like do like collabs and share and promote each other, etc. Because you definitely have the same audience
Could
if
be,
you're Christian
yeah.
content creators. It's about Christians, right?
Absolutely, yeah. That could definitely be it. Let's see. Yeah, so
If you
I
want to
think I answered.
guys, if you want to ask more questions, we have like another 9 minutes, and then our
right.
time with Dov is up. So ask away.
Yeah. So lateral pivoted. What is the frequency of the meetings? How long do you stipulate any time commitment to the participants as the group is the most to the group participants as the group is the most valuable part? I think I answered that already through other things, through other questions. I believe if there's some follow up there, feel free to ask. What if someone wants to join the group but wants to remain anonymous for privacy reasons? I don't see how I could accommodate that. You know, like
An anonymous message board with.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a kind of defeats the point, I guess, right?
Yeah, if that's something you want to do, then you have to, like, you know, if you're serving certain types of people who want to remain anonymous, and you know, maybe they submit questions that you send out on everybody's behalf. Let's say that would be like the email conversation, and then people can respond, maybe not anonymously, but or maybe yes anonymously. I don't know. You'd have to figure that out technologically, how that could work. I don't personally have any issue with that. And again, we have competitors.
I think like from like with a community, you want to meet people, you want to connect with people, so I think that really staying anonymous in the community.
Yeah.
Okay, can't wrap my head around.
I mean, I guess why would people not want to be like? Why would they want to remain anonymous? I guess it depends on what the answer to that is. What about the dip that you mentioned?
If someone wants to join the group, but here we have the answer from IPTA Global. What if someone wants to join the group but wants to remain anonymous for? Actually, no, he asked this again.
Yeah, that's what I was reading.
Okay, no, it was like asked previously. So sorry, if you could give us some more context. Yes.
Yeah, it's a major mind shift to charge. Well, I don't. I mean, that could depend on your community. I don't know. I know that, what's his name? I just slipped my mind. I know for sure. David, what's his name? The get out of debt guy. He's got the number 2 or number 3 talk show in the US. I haven't forgotten his name in 15 years, which just slipped my mind. Dave Ramsey. Yeah, Dave Ramsey. He's built like an $800 million a year business, I think, with over 1,000 employees. Yeah, Dave Ramsey. That's right. And he's charging, right? I mean, he's Christian. He doesn't serve only Christians, but it's a big part of who he is and what he talks about and what guides him. So I think that I don't know if I'm qualified to really answer you other than say just ask those who are doing it. There are people like, in the Christian world doing it. So let's see. I like what you said about just using Google Docs and Sheets. Sometimes I think we get too fancy complicated for busy people. That's definitely true for many things. But of course, if you have a good tool like UpCoach for what you want to do, definitely, you don't try to cobble it together. Like if I was including courses and or whatever, scheduling and other things, then it might make a lot of sense. I have struggled with the idea of charging. Okay, I mean,
maybe like another one.
What's the struggle?
Can you go a bit deeper on into Simplicity 7 groups?
Right. Yeah. Simplicity 7 is not up to 7 members. It is people who have 7 figures in sales or more, right? And We meet once a month. We have our own separate little discussion group and Telegram group just so people can chat directly with each other more easily. And we meet once a month for 2 hours. We go around the room. It's we probably have anywhere from like 5 to 12 people on any call, and we keep it super simple, right? And what we do really is, okay, it's usually the last week of the month, and we say, how did you do with your top priority this past month? What's your top priority for next month? And that typically leads to focused discussions about a small number of things that matter most to the member, because the top priority last month was this, top priority next month is that. Usually a top priority is something that you have questions about or should be asking questions about. The top priority shouldn't be, either you're solving a major crisis or you're, building out a major opportunity. So for 7-figure business owners or 8-figure business owners, that's usually what it would be. So that's really simple.
So how about we pick one last question and then we gotta bow out.
Yeah.
Bow out.
Okay.
You pick.
I should pick. Let's just see. Well, some people may like to remain anonymous if they have competitors in the same group, but I get the gist of the comment. Yeah, we're in our group. We're all competitors. Like obviously, some more direct, some less, some indirect. But we all know that the audience, like everybody, is served by sharing, right? Let's see. How do you prevent when starting up? It's you flooding the network with topics and answers. What are your tricks to get people engaged, even if you don't want to push it, like you said? Look, I think that at first you do want to send, you will be prompting conversations. And what I've found, if I remember correctly, more from helping clients get this started than from, back in the early days, which I don't remember that much, but is in my I have one-on-one conversations with members. And if I have a one-on-one conversation with David and David shares that this or that is something he's working on, I might use that as kind of distilled that down to a topic, either including David or separate from David, either something David, that he wants to share or wants input on. But I would either encourage him to send out an email to the group with a question, or I would take that as a topic and then formulate something that I think could be valuable for everybody. Hey, I was talking to one of the members and shared this and that. I just thought people would want to be aware, or how are you guys handling this and that? So you don't want to just send out content for the sake of it. Otherwise you end up with like just people posting stuff that nobody wants to read, which is like in a lot of Facebook groups, a lot of them. So you want it to be anything you're going to push out there should be rooted in conversations you've had with individual members. So that what matters to one member almost certainly matters to more members. Yeah. And that's that. I appreciate the thank yous. Glad this was helpful.
Thank you all, and thank you, Dov. Always love chatting with
Thanks
you, nerding out with you on this topic. If you want to contact Dov, it's dov@profitablерelationships.com. He does not like Facebook, so I guess best thing is go to his website.
I use Facebook Messenger to reach people who don't answer my emails. So,
all right, Dov. Thank you very much for coming on, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Okay, bye. Good to meet you all.
Bye. Talk soon. Bye.